Welcome to today's video. We're going to go over my favorite authors or auto-by-authors. These are authors that as soon as the book comes out, I'm instantly wanting to read. I'm excited about them, maybe even before I've seen what the book is about, because I've had such a great time with things I've read from them before. I try to think about this in the first 5 authors that came to my head as like what I consider my favorite authors. And then I wanted to look at, because I do keep statistics on who I've read and star ratings and all that stuff, to see what were they statistically and see if they kind of compared and see where they were. We're going to go off my gut instincts of favorite authors. And those authors would be like Riley Sager, Megan Golden, Moxie, I think is how you say. He's Finnish, so his name is pronounced differently than I'm used to. Naomi Novik, Marion Zapata. Those would be like the first 5 that I'm like, yeah, everything I've read is really great. Which I stand by those authors. I want to make one caveat. Amelia Atwater Rhodes was and still is one of my absolute favorite authors. She's kind of one of the authors I started reading her stories as a young reader and really developed my love of reading and investment in reading. So while I'm not putting her in here just because she's kind of who I was younger and I haven't read a lot of her stuff now that I'm older, just because I'm not really into the YA as much anymore, I'm still going to give a shout out to her, but I just want to make that little caveat that Amelia Atwater Rhodes will always have a place in my heart. Now, when I look at statistically what authors would be ranked, they would be Moxie, Riley Sager, Owen Parr, Megan Golden, and Shawna McGuire. And I agree that these are all great authors. I have loved the stories that I've read with from them, so I do agree with those statements. I just think that it's interesting to see what kind of comes to your mind versus statistically what's there. There's always a difference, but I stand by all of those. One thing I did when I was looking statistically, I took any books out that I've only read one book from because I just felt like that needed. However, there are some authors that I've read one book from, and I highly anticipate they are going to be auto-buy authors. So just a quick shout out to them. They would be Wanda Morris, Healy, I believe is how you say your name, Aaron Sterling, Lena, Harper, and John Mark. Going through the entire list, we will have Riley Sager, Megan Golden, Naomi Novik, Moxie, Marion Zapata, Owen Parr, Shawna McGuire, Wanda Morris, Healy, Aaron Sterling, Lena Harper, and John Marks. That is quite a list. That is 12 authors, and I'm not going to go in great detail about all of these authors, but I just do want to give a shout out to the books that I would consider are great, and also just kind of show you some of these authors have immense backlogs. So I'll show you the ones that I've read and kind of my rankings, and then also any like their backlist, whatever you want to call it, their older work. So for instance, Riley Sager, these are the books on his backlist, and I have read Lock Every Door, Home Before Dark, Final Girls, and Survive the Night. I'm just going to talk about my absolute top pick, Final Girls by Riley Sager. The twist at the end is an absolute you do not see coming, but this is about there's 3 girls, they're final girls, so they have survived mass murder and they were the final one standing. They had this clique, and while they've never met each other in person, they're just kind of there. One of them ends up dead. Kind of suspicious, but people kind of suspect that she did it herself. And then one of the other remaining final girls goes to the final girls house, and now the remaining 2 final girls are trying to investigate and figure out what's going on, and there's lots of twists, there's lots of turns, it's action-packed, it can be kind of gory in scenes, but absolutely a phenomenal book. And this is my favorite by him, but I have enjoyed the other things that I have read by him. Megan Golden has 5 books, and I have read 3 of her books. So the first one I read was Night Swim. I've actually read this twice. I will leave any reviews that I have on these. Absolutely love. Then I read Stay Awake, another absolutely phenomenal book. And then I just read Dark Corners, which is coming out soon. It is the follow-up to the Night Swim, the Rachel Crowell series. I do have Escape Room, but I have not read it yet. Megan Golden knocks it out the park. Her writing is fantastic. Her plot line, her pacing, her character development. I have nothing negative to say of all 3 books that I've read of hers. They're all 5 stars, and I don't even know that I have a favorite. They're all fantastic. So this is really short, but it's just because there's so much great. She does it so fantastic. Max Seek is a Finnish author, and most of his work is actually in Finnish, but the Jessica Niemi series has been translated to English. So those are the books that I read. If there's other English translated books, I will put them up. These are the ones I've read. Well, I've read The Witch Hunter twice. I've read The Ice Coven twice. And I have The Last Grudge, which is the latest one in the series. I haven't read it yet. The thing about his writing is there's so many Easter eggs and so much depth that every time I read both of these books, because I have read them multiple times, you see something in the story that was a detail that you didn't realize was important. And it's never clear. Like, there's never a point where you're like, I have solved all of this. There's just so much depth, so much detail. The character development is absolutely phenomenal in how he writes these characters and getting in those feelings and making them multidimensional. He's just such a fantastic writer. I cannot speak highly enough. I'm going to say that for all the authors because I do really enjoy these authors, but his books are fantastic. Naomi Novik has written the Scholomance series, which I have read all of these, and I've read these 2 twice and this one once. I will read them again. They're so much fun. I love the magical world in this. So these are YA, so I will preface that I think she's mostly a YA author. I'm not a huge YA fan, so I don't know how much of her backlog is going to be there, but definitely something seems intriguing. I will check it out. These are a magic school system where you go into this school and you can't leave until you graduate, but there's what they call Maleficari, which are trying to literally attack you and get you the entire time. To survive that, the last book, they finally get out, the graduation hall, and the world that comes. The world building is fantastic. The characters are great. It's just a different take on the magic system that I'm used to, and I thought she did such a wonderful job with the writing, with the pacing, with the development, all of those things. So Marion Zapata, I've read quite a few. The only book I would say I just really didn't enjoy was With Lakva with Love. But all the other ones, I've had a great time. I still want to read more of hers. But what I like about hers is the character development and the character's relationship build. She does a really good job of building that chemistry and those developments. So you get invested in not only the characters' relationships, but just the characters in general. And you really build up that chemistry. And so when those smut scenes come, it is so worth it. And just, she does a wonderful job. Owen Parr is one that I never think of, but I've always enjoyed. Okay, so I was just checking. Books 8 and 9 have been out. So I've technically read 78% of the series, but there's a Johnny Mancuso, Father O'Brien, like detective mystery series, which I think is fantastic, and I enjoy it. The first one is definitely the best, but they are all really good. Those are really the ones that I've invested in. I don't know much about his backlist, but I will definitely continue that series, especially as more coming out. Shawna McGuire, she is the Wayward Children series, which I do have all of them. There are still more planned to be out. I've read all of them up to Lost in the Moment and Found. Such a fantastic series. I love the world building. I love that they're short. I love that the first one you develop these characters and understanding everything, but then in each one you get to go dive deeper into a certain person's story in a certain realm or world or doorway, whatever you want to call them. But it's just so fun how they're all so individual, yet they all come together so well. So she does a great job. I will say I've tried to read Middle Game. I wasn't a big fan. It just has a different pacing than Wayward Children series, but I do kind of have that on the back burner to maybe come back to. Maybe I was just reading too much of that at the same time. I will link that vlog just on an off chance you want to read it, but so she is another absolutely fantastic author. Sorry, I had to take a quick break and deal with some kid stuff, so there might be a little bit of a camera change. I apologize. I'm going to talk really quickly about authors that I have only actually read one book of, but I highly anticipate based off of how much enjoyment I got out of reading, they're going to become auto-buy or favorite authors. All Her Little Secrets by Wanda Morris. This was her debut novel. She has another one called Anywhere You Run. I'll put it up here. I do anticipate reading that one. I'm very excited. This is about a woman who's a lawyer. She ends up having an affair with her boss. He ends up dead, and things are going crazy. She's got to kind of discover all of those things. I thought the pacing of this, the plot line, character development, I'm going to say that a lot. I think those are high points too, but I thought the pacing was really good with this. The storyline and the intricacies about it wasn't surface level, so she did a fantastic job just overall, and then for it to be your debut novel is even more fantastic, so hats off to you. Noelle W. Healy, the only one I've read is The Thicket. This is a haunted house horror, fast-paced, good twist, got a little bit of that Final Girls vibe from it. It's got some gore. It's not like over the top ridiculous, but she did a great job with this. The pacing was fast, but not plenty of like reflective moments in it, if you will. But she did great with the character development. She's got quite a backlist, and from what it looks like, they look really good. So I'm excited to read her backlist, and I was hooked right from the beginning with this. Two other authors that I have only read one book from, but they kind of are similar in the fact that they are fantasy romance, is Erin Sterling and Lena Harper. These were absolutely phenomenal books. I loved the vibes of this book. It's kind of like a Stars Hollow vibe with magic. I just love this book. I loved the characters. There is a follow-up to it, and I'm so excited to read it. It's called From Bad to Cursed. So I highly anticipate I will be reading that this year. So keep a lookout. Another one, this is the Hex Eggs. This is also has a follow-up called The Kiss Curse, which is, again, another one I highly anticipate I will get read this year. But this had a little bit more of a rom-com feel to it. But again, it's the fantasy romance aspect of a little magic, a little love, all of that. And I thought they were all really great. Character development and plots. So highly suggest. Oh, John Mars, I actually have only a digital copy. I really want to buy this book. Great, but the one, so fast paced, so many twists and turns, so many different point of views, but I thought he did it really well. It wasn't too many point of views. Just fantastic writing. There are some other books by John Mars. Very excited to read. Those are the authors that I have read one thing from, but I do really want to read from again. I do think it'd be a fun follow-up to either read somewhere the backlog of these favorite authors, or some of these authors that I've read one thing from and highly anticipate them being a favorite author, reading some more of their books and seeing if it holds true, see what we do. But we'll probably end up doing that, so maybe we'll do that and have some fun. Let me know if you want to. But overall, I thought this was really fun, just to kind of look at what my heart says is favorite authors and then what statistics says. And it's not really that surprising that they're really not too far off. And some of those that Maxie, Riley Sager, like those ones that I absolutely know are on both lists. And this was really fun. But that's a wrap, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!